Welcome to the Angry Habs Fan Podcast Show. It is Sunday, October 16th, 2016, broadcasting to you live from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. I'd like to slightly apologize for last week. Right in the middle of our Habs segment, the doorbell went off and my dogs went crazy. And it was a little loud and bothersome. It was Canadian Thanksgiving last week and my guests were starting to arrive, so you were cordially invited to the chaos of my home, and I'm sorry if it was a little overwhelming. So sorry about that. As well, I'd like to, in the good news section, announce that we're now on iTunes. So I'm quite happy about that. A lot of people like to use iTunes to find podcasts. Not to mention a lot of people use iTunes in their cars. So, if you're on a road trip and you're listening to this, I salute you, particularly if you're on a road trip to go see the Montreal Canadiens. I know a lot of people do that, myself included. I've done that, and it's a great way to go see another city. So, we're on iTunes. Good news. Quick segment notes this week. There's a couple of good rants and good, buy, and ugly. Well, I hope so. I haven't done them yet, but I'm pretty sure there will be. As well, there's no weekly habitant this week. All the NHL and Hab news will be covered in the two segments we're doing this week. So there was no additional news to report, and so there will be no weekly habitant this week. I also wanted to wish all the poolers out there good luck. Myself, I'm in two pools. We haven't done one. We're a little late starting, and the second pool we're in like fifth. So it's a good start. We're in the running. And to all the poolers out there, I'm sure you've done your pools and you've started watching hockey, and I hope you're enjoying it. So let's move right into our first segment, which will pretty much cover the entirety of the two games that the Montreal Canadiens had. And we'll call it the new and improved Breakfast of Champions. And you'll notice my voice goes up at the end there. It's a question. Is it the Breakfast of Champions? Well, I'll let you know at the end. The Montreal Canadiens had two games this week on the road. The first game was in Buffalo and the second game was in Ottawa, Thursday and Saturday. They won the first game 4-1 and they lost the second game 4-3 in shootout overtime. So they came away with 3 points out of 4. When you get 3 points out of 4 when you're on the road, it's excellent. It's definitely a positive. However, it does come with caveats. This could have easily gone many other ways. It could have been 1, 2 points, 3. Well, it was 3, but it could have been 0. Even the game in Buffalo, Buffalo was on us sometimes, often even. And we often relied on our goaltender to bail us out, I would say, in both games. But nevertheless, let's not, just 3 points are in the bank and we'll take them, and it'll help us on our way to the Stanley Cup, in quotations. I'd like to point out, however, that the two games were played against weak teams. Buffalo, who I think will end up at the bottom of the table. I'm regretting I didn't take them last week in my bottom 3. But I think they might be in the bottom 3. So, a bit of a weaker team there, though they played well. And Ottawa, who I see as a bubble team, a playoff bubble team, who I think will miss the playoffs. So, in my opinion, two weaker teams, so that definitely comes with that caveat. And because they were two weaker teams, though they played hard, and it is the beginning of the season, they gave us a run for their money, and we could have lost those two games. It does come with that caveat. The first game was a lot better. The Montreal Canadiens played that game. I think they deserve to win, if you will. And Al Montoya, huge saves at multiple parts of the game. He did a great job. He did a great job in Ottawa too. We could have easily lost that game, particularly. It's important to point out here that Price is on injured reserve right now. Apparently he caught a virus and got a fever, and he is on antibiotics. So he was put on injured reserve last week. However, this Monday he should be coming off injured reserve, if I'm reading the signs, the tea leaves correctly. That would allow him to play at some point this week. It might not be Tuesday. A lot of people are hoping he'll play Tuesday. He might just be coming off his fever and might not play Tuesday. But this is just hoping he comes off the IR, and that way we know everything's okay with him. Because if he doesn't come off the IR by tomorrow, that means he's going to spend another week on injured reserve, and we won't be able to see him till next week. And if that's the case, well then, Hab fans will start definitely worrying if we are not already. Unfortunately, when it comes to teams putting players on IR, especially as Hab fans know, in particular with Price, oh dear. It's not a good history there. We've been told before we should see him any day now, and we never saw him again. But, I think he'll be back on Monday, and that'll be great news when that happens. However, up to now, Al Montoya is holding the fort. Like we said last week, second best goalie in the NHL, and or first even. Might even dethrone Price, I believe we called. So... Anyways, Montoya keeping it up, but we can't rely on Montoya to do this on a constant basis, which, when you're having those kinds of incredible opportunities, it's also a reflection of some pretty glaring mistakes in your defense. And we'll get into that a bit later when we look at the defense of the Montreal Canadiens. There was some good and bad in the defense play, no doubt about that. But for starters, let's look at the first line. We'll see how they did against the two games. And in my opinion, they look pretty good. For a first line, they would come out and apply pressure and get chances. And, you can't ask much more of their first line. I mean, Gallagher has been the offensive juggernaut of the team up to now, which I don't think anyone would have called. He's doing what he's got to do and getting rewarded for it, which is always nice to see. Galchenyuk, you could see he is making some mistakes. He's still learning his position, but he's more than covering up for that with the pure raw skill and talent that he has on offense, creating chances, playing hard. I have very few troubles with Galchenyuk right now. One thing for sure is he has to work on his face-offs, because a number one center is going to take a lot of face-off for the Montreal Canadiens in the next few years, in the next multiple years. So, he's got to get much better at face-offs. And then that leaves us with Max Pacioretty. Now, Max Pacioretty, there's been shifts I liked and shifts I didn't. There's shifts he comes out and he plays really well and gets chances, shoots, gets shots, And there's shifts where I find he's erased a bit, much on the colder side. So last week I predicted there's a chance he might start off a little cold. I mean, if you would have told me he's only going to have one assist after 2 games, that's a bit of a chilly start. I will point out that, if you didn't notice it against the Buffalo game, he was really hunting that empty net goal, something I've been pointing out now for too many weeks in a row. But I will point it out again because he really was. He had a couple cracks at it and he missed the net. I wish he scored, if that's what it takes to get his engine going, crank it up. But, Pacioretty looks a little rusty, which is, unfortunate because he's been playing the most hockey out of the two. So we'll see what happens there. But as a first line as a whole, I'm happy with it. The second line, Radulov, Lehkonen, Plekanec, well, it's a tale of two cities here. Radulov, as I predicted last week, is playing very well, is doing what we expected of him, is producing chances. He's a big body. He's using his body, but he's also got some help in Lehkonen. Lehkonen, I'm finding, is a very good player as well. Plays very similarly, very intense, very offensive, has a good shot. And, they're both playing great, in a certain level. However, their center, Plekanec, has yet to show up for the season, let's be honest. Apart from a couple of streaks here and there, he's been pretty much non-existent. Now, I don't know if he's, hanging behind because he's got two such offensive wingers that he's, playing that such vaunted defensive game I keep hearing about. But Plekanec -1. So I'll just leave that out there. Hasn't showed up. He will show up. his two line mates are playing too good for him not to. But it's kind of disappointing when the veteran center is just nowhere to be found. And again, Plekanec has been playing hockey for over a month now. No excuse. Terrible on face-offs, erased from the game. I'm looking forward. Someone needs to tell him the season has started. Pretty much, I can't remember last time he had a good start to his season. Maybe last year, actually. Anyways, Plekanec has got to get going. But good start by Radulov and Laitinen. And, when you're looking at it as far as compared to last year, definite improvement on the second line. We actually have a second line that could be quite effective. And I'm looking forward to seeing more from them. The third line of Shaw, Darren, and Carr is, to be honest, probably the surprising line, but not surprising. It too has many new pieces to it. Shaw being the principal one, but they have been, for me, probably the most consistent and if not the best line of the Montreal Canadiens. I know people say, well, the first line, come on, but that third line is a great line to put out there. Shaw's been a beast. He's been, a bit ugly here and there, but, he's been playing great and hard and, the kind of hockey we expect from him. And Darnay, surprisingly, is playing well. I have very few complaints about Darnay. I'll point out Darnay right now is our best face-off guy. So he's actually winning face-offs. He's making good passes, and he's playing pretty good hockey. They're getting chances, and Darren is often at the center of the chances they're getting. And of course, Carr, who is just the guy's a one-man wrecking crew, and I just really hope he doesn't end up wrecking himself. But you can never accuse him of never trying, and his trying produces coughed up pucks and opportunities for his teammates. The third line has been absolutely upgraded, improved, if you will, from last year. Very happy with that. The fourth line has been good too. But it better be at this point. We've been building this line for many, many, many years now. And so we're at the point now with all the grinders we've gone through that I would hope we found three that we're happy with, and I would say all three are playing great for fourth liners. Very few things bad to say about it. They've even contributed offensively, which is always encouraging for a hockey team to get a goal from the fourth line, and they deserve the goal. They play hard. So great news on the fourth line. Let's move to the defense, and here's a mixed basket. There's some definite good stuff going on the defense, but there's also some less good things going on. I like Weber. Weber's been the top minutes guy on defense. He's been continuing his play like he did in the World Cup. Just a solid defenseman, no nonsense, a general. And, as well, his teammate Beaulieu, who plays with him, has been playing great hockey. I'm very happy with the way he's been playing hockey. He seems very confident with Weber. I hope they stay together, and I hope it clicks, and it looks like it is, because there you have one defenseman who's a little more responsible defensively, and another who's more apt to carry the puck out and maybe be on the offensive side. And Beaulieu, for me, has been all over the ice and looking good all over the ice with the puck, passing it, playing it. And, we need that from Beaulieu. Unfortunately, it's not showing up yet in the scoring sheet, but I think it will. So I'm quite happy about that. As well, I'd like to point out another good defenseman that's been playing a bit lights out lately is Emelin. Here are two games where he came out gangbusters and hitting. And last week we mentioned we don't want him to get any points. Finishes the year with 0 points, but if he could get a hit every 2 shifts, doing his job, and he is doing that job, and good for him. And I think there's a few factors for that, and I think it has to do with the fact that he has a few guys now that are helping him as far as the physical play. Definitely Shaw is one of them, and definitely Weber as well is another. Not to mention, Patteran's a big boy, so we're starting to see a much bigger team on the Montreal Canadiens, a team that's also willing to initiate scrums, to get involved in scrums. A lot of times in the past, you would see scrums where the Montreal Canadiens players, there would be one or two guys at most, and they really couldn't handle it. But now it's the other team that's getting upset about these things, and it's a nice change. So I think for Emelin, that's a huge plus, because he is not the only player relied upon now to distribute a physical game. Emelin's game is to be physical, but I don't think he's, he can't be the only player doing that. And that might be why he has disappeared in the past. I'm throwing a theory out here, by the way. I don't know if this is true. But when you're the only player on a team that's playing physical, and you're asked to play, 80 games that are physical, it's not surprising you're going to take a night or two off. I'm hoping this is the reason. Now, we'll see. He could disappear for a week, and I could be completely wrong here. But I have a feeling he's going to keep hitting, because, when you hit someone hard, there's always that scrum after, and you always got guys going after you. And it's a lot easier when you have Shaw out there holding two guys back for you, as opposed to having all five guys coming at you. So we'll see about that. But Emelin, definitely a tip of the hat for the defensive play. However, I will say this: there is some negative. I mean, we just played two weaker teams, and they had a lot of chances, and great chances even. And we can't allow that. I know it's the beginning of the year, and got to give them time. We'll see. Markov, you're. I mean, if you don't see the age now, you're blind. Many a play he was, not many, but quite a few, he was kind of like a pylon. If he's not moving, he's easy to pass now. He's slow. I'm just going to say it, he's slow. I don't know if he's going to get some of that speed back. Luckily, he's smart, so he plays a really smart positional game. However, it's the first time where I've noticed that being so important to him, like almost to the point where that is his game now. He's not the kind of player, if a player gets by him, he's not catching up. There's just no way. I do like him, though, on the power play. He's still got that quarterback passing ability that, is very important on the power play. But, he's going to need help on the defensive end. I'm hoping he plays a lot less minutes. And I'm hoping maybe he gets better. I don't know. It's hard to say with a guy that old. So we'll definitely keep tabs on that. So that's about it for the defense. As far as general team play, obviously I've pointed out the face-offs a few times. I mean, it was really, really bad. I mean, usually I'm not even one guy. I'm not even a guy who points that out or even notices it. But when you start noticing it, and you usually don't, that you can't win a face-off for your life, it's not good. It's not good. Like I said before, Desharnais is your best centerman. I can excuse Galchenyuk on a certain level, seeing as he's still learning to be a center, and I'm hoping he can become better at face-offs. However, I can't excuse Plekanec's 38%. Here's a player who's been playing center his entire career, first line, second line duty, and you got to be doing at least 50% at this point in your career. I don't understand, and it's unfortunate because it's causing trouble. It's leading to direct chances for the other teams, and perhaps taking away puck possession from ours. I don't think I have to convince anyone that winning faceoffs is very important in the NHL, and the Habs are not doing that right now. The power play, I mean, there's some good and bad in the power play, something that we had a lot of trouble with last year. I think the power play has a lot more talent on it, for sure. Just Radulov, I find every time he gets the puck, something could happen. So that's exciting. Not only that, but I like the in front of the net presence now. Poor Gallagher, who pretty much was the only player in the past that kind of did it. Now we have Shaw there, and a couple of other players. Carr, perhaps, might go to the front of the net, but I don't know. I noticed in any time a defenseman was shooting, pretty much there was at least one guy, if not two. When Petrie scored on his power play goal, it was the perfect Shaw Gallagher, two guys in front of the goalie. The goalie didn't even see it. And then, that's going to produce success. I hope they keep that up. However, on the flip side of that, it's just it looks like it still needs a lot of work. It looks like a kind of power play that if a few things go wrong, it could start falling apart. All that to say is I'm not convinced. I think it's better than last year, but that also isn't saying much. So we'll see. Again, it's been 2 games. I might say that a few times this week because it has only been 2 games. I'm not going to, condemn them or praise them to death on the first 2 games. Let's look at the rookies. Sergachev, here's a negative, unfortunately. He didn't play in Ottawa. He played in Buffalo. And I didn't think he had a good start. Pretty brutal, to be frank. He's doing what he's trying or supposed to do, be an offensive player. I just find that, he's got that rookie taking chances at the wrong time thing, losing the puck. I will say this in his defense. Every time he loses the puck, he somehow finds a way to get back in the play to negate his mistake. But he's always on a string of just, giving up a breakaway or something like that. And we all know how much Michel Therrien loves that. And there were a few instances of that in Buffalo. I will say this in his Michel Therrien's defense, if you will. After those mistakes, he kept playing. And you got to keep playing him. The guy's 18 years old. You got to keep playing him. He's going to keep making those mistakes, unfortunately. But let's just hope he gets rid of them. It reminded me a little bit of PK Subban, if you will. And, got to get that out of him because those mistakes can cost you games, and Michel Therrien won't put up with them. So much so he didn't play in Ottawa. But, Petrie came back, so he took Petrie's spot. Vice versa. But so already sitting in the press box, but more than worthy to be sitting in the press box. He, if he had a huge game against Buffalo and was sitting in the press box, I would be bitching about Therrien. But no. He needs to learn that the conservative play, especially when you're 18, is probably the better move. And you take your chances at better opportunities. Maybe here's a player who I know it's only been 1 game. I hope he gets another chance, but it's starting to look a little full there in the back line. That we have 6 players that are regulars, which leaves him as a 7th. So I don't know how much playing time he's going to get. And because of that, I think in the next 4, 5, 6 games, we might see him sent down. And for Sergachev fans, I apologize. I don't think I'm really looking into a crystal ball by saying that. Will he be called up again? I would say yes, absolutely. But he needs to play. He needs to play and get those mistakes out of his system. Lehkonen, we already talked about him. Great performance, great skill, great effort, great shot. And he needs a center to wake up. Him and Shaw, the week before we explained Shaw was possibly, Radulov. At least Radulov has a mate on that island now, but Plekanec has to come into play, and otherwise, they're gonna be 2 players, 2 on 3s all the time. And even though they still make something happen, you need that third guy coming too. And so we're left with wondering, after these 2 games, what kind of team we have. Price is on the IR, so again we're left with a team without its best piece. But again, maybe that's a good chance for us to look at what this team is actually made of. And we see a lot of good, but some bad. It's kind of we were promised a new and improved team. I'm not arguing that. It is new and improved. There's no doubt about it. If you're going to use the serial reference, it's got that on the box. It passes all labeling laws. It's definitely new and improved. Now, how has it been new and improved? That's another question. New and improved, does it have more raisins, more wheat? If I can keep going with this cereal reference, I would argue that's exactly what it is. Maybe 10% more. We're definitely bigger. We definitely have better players. So there's no doubt it's new and improved on that front. Maybe there's a toy in the box. I don't know. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. I'm just going to keep going with this cereal reference. However, I will say this, it could still be the same old cornflakes, right? I think anyone who's been in the cereal aisle knows that new and improved pretty much means, it could be something good, but it could just mean more wheat or, a few more flakes. And I'm just unsure. If it's the same old cornflakes, because if I can keep using cornflakes, and I like cornflakes, but last year's cornflakes were horrible. They were terrible. They gave me many issues that I won't go into, many side effects that I won't go into. I don't want to gross everyone out. I never want to see those cornflakes again. So now that this box says these are new and improved, I'm like, okay, they look new and improved. They smell new and improved. But I don't know. I just don't know. This is a team that just, has a lot of new pieces, but also has still the same old pieces. The new pieces look good, but the old pieces, some of them don't. The old pieces, Plekanec, Pacioretty, kind of slow. Let's go. What's going on? These are veterans that are supposed to be veterans and playing well. Markov slowing down, maybe not his fault. These are all players that are all veterans that have all been in the dressing room forever, and they are not the players that I would expect on a new team to be left behind a bit. I would expect them to be leading the way. Instead, I'm finding it's the new players leading the way. So I'm just very hesitant to just call this a breakfast of champions, if you will. Frankly, it's not. If anyone knows breakfast of champions will definitely know the irony of this, but this isn't a Stanley Cup winning team, even with Carey Price in front of it. I know I'm going to anger people saying that because Carey Price is God, and I understand. And on many levels he is. However, no goalie can win the cup by themselves. None. Not even Patrick Roy won the cup by himself, even though a lot of people might think that. And I just don't quite see it yet. And now 2 games in, I don't see it yet. Next week, I might be singing a completely different tune. And it's a little discouraging that I'm saying that with 3 points in the bank, too, because, you'd think I would be happy about that, but I'm sort of mediocre. I'm on the fence. And I don't see the championship team yet. I don't see that. And the reason I say that is because everyone keeps telling me we are on this 2-3 year, going for the cup as long as Price is signed with us. Will he re-sign with us? Won't he? That's a completely other debate, a very important one for our franchise. But up to then, it should be all engines going for the cup. And I don't think we're there yet. I think we're missing a piece or two if this continues. I don't know. We'll see. So new and improved, yes, but breakfast of champions, I wouldn't bet my house on it. So let's move into the good, bad, and ugly. We'll cover a little more of what happened in the NHL over there. We'll definitely look at the Habs there as well. And that should do it for this segment.